Hi, welcome back to my channel, Open the Door. This is episode 115. I'm in a different setting today. It's Monday morning and I'm at the park and I'm going to go for a walk after I make this video, but I wanted to get this out because it's been over a week now since I posted a video. I had a busy week last week, in a good way, but now I'm back on track. So today's episode is the keys to alchemy. I'm going to talk about what alchemy is and especially how that applies to spiritual alchemy. So you're already holding the keys to turning your pain into power and your fear into faith and your wounds into wisdom. Today I'm going to unlock this concept of alchemy and I'm going to hand you the keys to the secrets of how you can apply this to your life. Because spiritual alchemy is an inner transformation. It's knowing how to energetically turn lead into gold and shadow into light by applying these core principles into your daily life that I'm going to talk about today. There's a myth associated with alchemy, and what does that have to do with? Well, alchemy is one of the oldest known spiritual and philosophical traditions. The definition of alchemy refers to the medieval forerunner to chemistry, and it was concerned with transforming base metals into gold and discovering what they thought was some type of universal elixir. So alchemy would be transforming something ordinary into something extraordinary through seemingly magical processes. In ancient Egypt, alchemy was seen as a sacred science. The Greek and Roman historical eras, the philosopher Hermes merged Egyptian teachings with their own and created something called Hermeticism, which were writings that taught that all in the universe is connected and that inner transformation is key to connecting to the divine. And then in the Islamic Golden Age, which would be the time era that we call the Middle Ages, Arab scholars advanced the use of chemistry in medicine through the study of alchemy. They believed the transformation of metals mirrored purification of the soul. And then in Europe during the Middle Ages, famous alchemist Isaac Newton studied both scientific and spiritual alchemy. And both of these were in pursuit of turning base metals into gold, but also he was more interested in achieving spiritual perfection, the gold that we find within. So during these time periods, there was a pursuit of something called the Philosopher's Stone. And this is a legendary substance that's at the heart of alchemy, at least the traditional type of alchemy that I'm talking about right now. And this Philosopher's Stone was believed to have power to turn base metals into gold. It was thought to create the elixir of life, granting healing, longevity, and even immortality. But after centuries of searching, there's been no scientific evidence that exists that this was a literal substance, but many believe that it's meant to be symbolic. So moving on to my area of interest, spiritual alchemy, and what I'm going to share with you and handing you these keys and give you some things to think about and hopefully apply to your life. So in mysticism and in spirituality, the Philosopher's Stone is you. Once this power has been activated, it transmutes pain into wisdom and your ego into your pure essence, your soul. Turns your wounds into power. It's a metaphor, alchemy, for inner transformation, soul purification, and achieving spiritual wholeness and enlightenment. In spirituality, alchemy represents the union of opposites, where we merge our light and our dark, our masculine and feminine sides, our spiritual side and our 3D matter, our bodies basically. It's awakening of the divine side of our essence, of ourself. And it becomes a culmination of inner work where we burned away false and stepped fully into our truth. Of course, this would involve, walking the healing journey, and going through the healing is how you gradually transform light into dark and merge those two as well. So Here's some keys to help you understand better, and hopefully that you can apply to your life to start to begin to alchemize your pain into power. So number one key would be awareness. You can't transform what you don't acknowledge. So you probably heard the saying that says, admission is the first step. Well, that is true. You can't acknowledge it if you don't acknowledge that this issue, whatever it is, needs to be worked on. So key one, awareness. Key two, doing the shadow work. Embracing the parts of you that you have rejected, ignored, suppressed, all things that need to be looked at. The third key would then be to surrender. So you become aware that you've got some issues. You embrace these parts that you've been turning your back on and ignoring, that are calling for help, calling for attention, calling for healing. And then the next step is surrender. So allow the process to unfold rather than trying to control it. Step 4 is integration. Understanding that bringing this issue and or issues to the forefront of your attention in your healing journey will eventually require step 4, which is integration. So understanding that bringing these things forth means that healing is going to be called into action. It's time for that. And you go through the healing process, and as you're doing that, you gradually put your hands on key 5, which is embodiment, becoming the change that you alchemize. So I'm sorry to tell you, as I do in most episodes, that all these things take time, but you're worth it. You want to walk through the rest of your life in pain, knowing you're carrying issues that you could be looking at and working through. Yes, it's difficult, but it's so worth it when you get on the other side. I just felt called to say that for you. Here's some everyday examples of how to alchemize different type of issues that you might be facing. So turning grief into purpose. That could be through anything creative, like art and music. There's a goose coming toward. Hi. Sorry. Turning grief into purpose through art, music, or any form of creative activity. It gives meaning to the pain with compassion, and it's fueled by inspiration. Another everyday example of alchemizing would be turning abandonment into self-care. So what once broke you, maybe caused you to become isolated, can become the source of your power. I know I did that. I went through months and months of isolation. And instead of laying around and feeling sorry for myself, I went deep into it, deep into the healing process, and got quite a bit accomplished as well. So I'll talk about that in an episode one day. Another everyday example would be turning betrayal into stronger boundaries. So finding strength and self-love amid the suffering and heartbreak that we feel when we've been betrayed by a loved one, by a friend. We all have been there. But you can alchemize that into standing in your power, realizing your worth, and creating realistic boundaries. Okay, another everyday example would be turning confusion into spiritual curiosity. So taking all those questions and things that you've been wondering about in regards to spirituality, and using that as curiosity and begin to seek and find the answers. Here's another everyday example: turning addiction into awakening, turning the shame that you feel with this addiction into service to first yourself, and hopefully through recovery and healing, service to others as well. What a beautiful way to alchemize. And then turning fear into freedom is another everyday example, where we once were silenced out of fear and afraid to speak, act, think, feel, move. Once you realize that you're being controlled by this fear, and you're willing to step through the fear into whatever that truth is that the fear is holding you back from, you find on the other side of that a freedom, a lightness. It's worth it. Here's some prompts for you to think about. Write in your journal or put them on sticky notes around your home where you'll see them often. So what lead, speaking of turning lead into gold, what lead am I still holding on to that's ready to be transformed? The next question is, which alchemical key is calling me now? And the next question, am I resisting a breakdown that's actually meant to be part of my breakthrough? As long as you're writing things down, write this down too. Here's an affirmation. It's not a question, it's just an affirmation that you will hopefully write down and see on a regular basis so that your subconscious can start to embed this into your self-perception and your thought process. Okay, here it is. I am the alchemist of my own life. With courage and clarity, I turn wounds into wisdom and pain into purpose. I am the alchemist of my own life. With courage and clarity, I turn wounds into wisdom and pain into purpose. Once more, for those in the back. I am the alchemist of my own life. With courage and clarity, I turn wounds into wisdom and pain into purpose. When it comes to affirmations, I like to say them 3 times. There's a power in 3. To close, I'd just like to say this. Every time we choose healing over hiding, truth over fear, or love over bitterness, we're practicing spiritual alchemy. We learn to turn the darkness into light and not run from it. The real gold isn't something we can hold, it's something we become. Embrace alchemy to be transformed through the fire, to fully embrace the awakened version of yourself. Before I close out, I want to give you a couple episode numbers of my past episodes on my channel, where I have over 100 episodes now, that will give you even more explanation of some of these concepts that I talked about today in the episode, including embracing your dark side, balancing light and dark energy, and also shadow work and surrender. So here's the episode numbers to go back and watch to help reinforce today's lesson on alchemy. So episode number 62 is embracing your dark side. Episode number 11 is balancing light and dark energy. Episode 27 is doing your shadow work, and episode 65 is all about surrender. So this is our episode for today. I hope this turned out okay. I would like to use this if possible. I feel more relaxed and at ease because I'm not sitting at a picnic table or on the grass, but you can hear the nature sounds around me. This is my happy place. I hope you're doing well. Go find your happy place today. I'll see you again soon. Things are slowing down a little bit in the music world, so I'm ready to give you guys some more of my energy and attention. So I'll see you again soon. Take good care. I wish you peace, love, and light. Have a great day. That's it for now.